All right, so today we're diving into something a little different, a little darker, you could say.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Yeah. Well, get ready, because we're going back to the X-Files, specifically Season 2, Episode 9, Firewalker.
Ooh, Firewalker. Okay, yeah, I remember this one. Classic monster of the week, right?
You got it. Totally self-contained, no alien conspiracies here, but man, is it packed with suspense. And some pretty freaky science. We've got a bunch of material on this one, so let's get right into it.
This is going to be laid on me.
Okay, so we start off with, picture this, a remote volcanic research project. They're up on Mount Avalon in the Cascades, Washington.
Okay, already sounds isolated. I like it.
Right, so they send out a distress signal, and guess who picks it up? Dr. Adam Pierce used to be part of the team.
Oh, interesting. So he's got, like, insider knowledge.
Exactly. But what he sees in this transmission, well, it's just messed up. The transmission's coming from Firewalker, this mobile robot exploring a volcanic cave.
Okay, creepy robot in a cave. I'm hooked.
Right. So there's the body of the chief seismologist just lying there, dead. Phil Erickson was his name. And then, get this, there's this weird shadow moving around in extreme heat, mind you.
Hold on, something's moving in that heat. That's not right.
Nope. And then poof, the feed dies. Total silence.
Okay, yeah. That's just asking for trouble. What could even survive down there, let alone, move around?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? But this messed up image, that's all Dr. Pierce needs to go find the only people he thinks can handle this.
Oh, let me guess. Mulder and Scully.
Bingo. But here's the thing. The material we have on this points out Mulder doesn't want Scully involved at first.
Really? Why is that?
Scully had been abducted not that long ago, remember? He's worried about her.
Oh, right. Yeah, it makes sense. He cares about her, more than he lets on sometimes.
Totally. But Scully, she is not having it. She's determined to get back to work.
That's our Scully. Tough as nails.
So they head up to Mount Avalon, and the whole scene is just off, The remaining research team, Jason Ludwig, the robotics engineer, Peter Tanaka, systems analyst, and Jesse O'Neill, a grad student, they're all there.
Wow.
But they're all messed up, traumatized. You can tell something's really wrong.
They're probably not going to be straight with Mulder and Scully, are they?
Oh, absolutely not. They feed them this whole story about how their project leader, Daniel Trepkos, lost it, went crazy, trashed the lab.
And just vanished, I bet.
You know it. After Firewalker went down into the volcano that first time, they say he just disappeared.
Right. Blaming the missing guy. Classic.
Classic. But, and this is where it gets crazy, Dr. Pierce, the guy who brought Mulder and Scully there, he ends up strangled outside the lab.
Oh, no. What? Who did it?
You're not going to believe this. Trepkos, the guy who was supposedly missing.
No way.
Yeah.
So much for that story they gave, huh? Something way bigger is going on here.
No kidding. So Pierce is dead, mystery's thickening. Mulder starts digging through Trepkos' notes, and this is where the science fiction starts creeping in.
Uh-oh. What did he find?
Trepkos was talking about this new organism, said it was silicon-based and that it was living inside the volcano.
Silicon-based life? Come on, that's like something out of Star Trek.
I know, right? The sources point out Scully's skeptical too, obviously. She's all about the science. But then things get even weirder. Peter Tanaka, the systems analyst, he gets sick. Fast.
Sick how? Like a cold or something?
Way worse. Convulsions, crazy high fever. He's refusing any help from Mulder or Scully. Like, absolutely refusing.
That's pretty telling. Maybe he knows something, but he can't say it. Yeah. Or doesn't want to.
Yeah, there's definitely a secret there. But it gets worse, much worse. They try to get Tanaka on a stretcher to get him out of there, and Mulder sees this pulsating thing in his neck.
Pulsating? Yikes.
I know. And then Tanaka freaks out and runs into the woods. They find him later, and, well, let's just say it's not pretty. This tentacle thing, it bursts out of his throat.
Oh, God. That's brutal.
Yeah, pretty horrific. But it's proof. Something's really wrong here, and it's not just some guy going crazy.
Yeah, Mulder's silicon-based theory isn't sounding so crazy anymore.
Not at all. Scully does an autopsy, and guess what she finds in Tanaka's lungs?
Silicon. Like sand.
Sand. Silicon dioxide. It's confirmation. This thing is real.
Okay, so now it's not just freaky, it's dangerous.
Really dangerous. Scully figures out this thing needs a host to survive, and it spreads like wildfire. Mulder calls the CDC. They lock down the whole site.
Full quarantine makes sense. This thing sounds like a nightmare.
Total nightmare. So what do Mulder and Ludwig do? They go down into the volcano.
Into the volcano? Are they nuts?
They're desperate, right. They want to find Trepkos, maybe get Firewalker back, get some answers. But going down there, well, just leads to more trouble.
What kind of trouble?
They find Tripko's, and he is not what they expected. He's not crazy, not exactly. He shoots Ludwig, kills him right there with a flare gun.
Oh, wow. He just shot him.
Then he burns the body, says Ludwig was infected.
This Trepko's guy, he's gone off the deep end.
Yeah. He explains what happened after that first exploration with Firewalker. Erickson, the seismologist, he crushed a rock sample that the robot brought back, killed him instantly, and infected the other scientists nearby.
So that's how it spreads, touching this stuff.
And it gets worse. Trepko says this thing, it makes its hosts spread it, like it controls them, makes them infect others.
That is so messed up, like something out of a horror movie.
Straight out of a horror movie. Meanwhile, back at the lab, Jessie O'Neill, she gets infected.
Oh, man. Poor Scully.
O'Neill, she handcuffs herself to Scully, tries to infect her. Imagine that, being trapped with this thing, knowing what's coming.
I don't even want to think about it. Scully must have been terrified.
But she's quick, Scully. She manages to lock O'Neill in a sealed chamber just in time. That thing bursts out of O'Neill's throat, just like it did with Tanaka.
Oh, man. She barely escaped that.
Right. Just then, Mulder and Trepko's get back to the lab. The evacuation team is on its way. Mulder knows Trepko's won't go willingly. He'd rather die in the volcano than risk spreading this thing. So Mulder does something risky.
What did he do?
He calls the evacuation team and tells them only he and Scully survived, leaves Trepkos out of it completely.
Wow. Risky move.
He had to do it, right. Contain the threat no matter what. So they get out, but they spend a month in quarantine. The chemical corps swoops in, takes the lab, shuts down Mount Avalon. They find Firewalker, but it's too damaged to get any data.
So what about Trepko's and O'Neill?
Officially, they're missing, presumed dead. Last anyone saw, Trepko's was carrying O'Neill's body back into the volcano.
Creepy ending. Fits the episode, though.
It does. And now let's get into some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. This is where it gets really interesting. You know, the idea for Firewalker, it was inspired by a real NASA project.
Really? Which one?
Project Dante. They sent a robot, just like Firewalker, into a real volcano.
Wow, that's cool. So they took real science and turned it into this whole creepy story?
Exactly. And here's a fun fact. The Mount Avalon in the show, it's in Washington, but there's a real Mount Avalon in New Hampshire.
Huh. Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? Blurs the lines a little.
Definitely. So how'd they film this? Volcanoes aren't exactly easy to work with.
Right. Well, the Cascades were too far from Vancouver, where they filmed most of the show, so they found this forest, made it look like the mountains. Clever, right?
Yeah, good old movie magic.
And get this, the base camp set they built for the episode, they didn't just tear it down. They sold it to the show, the Sentinel.
No way. So it got recycled. That's pretty cool.
Like, the set gets to live on in another story. But okay, back to the science. Silicon-based life forms. Obviously made up for the show, right?
Yeah, that's not really a thing, is it?
Not that we know of. But, you know, there are extremophiles. Tiny organisms that can survive in crazy places, like volcanoes.
Right. So they took a real concept, extremophiles, and just went nuts with it.
Exactly. Now, one thing a lot of the sources bring up is how similar Firewalker is to another episode, Ice, from season 1.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Isolated team, dangerous creature, paranoia, all that.
Yep. James Wong, one of the writers, he was worried they were repeating themselves too much.
But they're not exactly the same, are they?
Right. Howard Gordon, the guy who wrote Firewalker, he said, yeah, there are similarities. But the stories are different, the characters are different, it's still its own thing.
Makes sense. They can't just do the same thing every episode, right?
Exactly. Oh, and speaking of characters, we had some great guest stars in this one. Bradley Whitford played Trepkos.
Oh, wow. He's a big name now.
And Shawnee Smith played Jessie O'Neill. They both did a fantastic job.
Yeah, they were really believable. Especially Whitford. You could feel his desperation.
Totally. Okay, some stats for you. Firewalker premiered on November 18th, 1994. Got huge ratings, like 15.2 million viewers, according to one source. Another one says 8.6 million households, which is, you know, probably a different way of measuring it back then.
Either way, that's a lot of people watching. Were the critics impressed, though?
Not so much. Entertainment Weekly, they gave it a D, called it insultingly bad, said it ripped off Ice and Alien.
Ouch. Sound like they really hated it.
They did. But other critics were more forgiving. Zach Handlin from the AV Club, he saw it as a return to form after Scully's abduction. Back to Monster of the Week stuff.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, right? Different people, different opinions.
Exactly. It's interesting, though. Howard Gordon, he was actually proud of the episode. He loved the special effects, especially the fungus stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty gross. I'll give him that.
Right. Oh, and one last fun fact. Hiro Kanagawa, the actor who played Tanaka, he popped up in other X-Files episodes too, and even in The Lone Gunman and Millennium.
Really? That's cool. Like, he was part of that whole world.
Totally. So that's Firewalker in a nutshell. A story about ambition, scientific curiosity, and the things that can go wrong when you mess with nature.
Yeah, it really makes you think, about the risks of exploring the unknown, what we might find out there and what it might do to us.
Exactly. Is it worth pushing the boundaries, even if it means facing something terrifying? Something that might be better left undisturbed? That's the question Firewalker leaves us with, and it's a question that I think we all have to answer for ourselves.